You open this door with the key of reason. Beyond it is another dimension. A dimension of truth. A dimension of freedom. A dimension of joy. You're moving into the land of both the ideal and the real, of the possible and the actual. You've just crossed over into the Capitalist Corner.
Where reason meets reality, welcome to the Capitalist Corner.
Welcome, everybody, to the Capitalist Corner. I'm your host, Mark Pellegrino, and also the chairman of the American Capitalist Party, along with my co-host and vice chair of the American Capitalist Party, Michael Leibowitz, who is also the host of his own multiple shows now. I mean, he started out with just The Rational Egoist and Capitalist Corner, and now he's working a couple of times a day, maybe even more, on the weekends. The hardest working guy in podcasting at the moment, I think. Michael, what's going on in all your shows? Tell us about all your shows. What's happening on them now?
First, let me tell you about the surprise. Are you ready for the surprise?
Love surprises.
I haven't even told Mark about the surprise. Today at 3:30 p.m. right here live, I will be debating a left-winger although he may not like that depiction, named Blake Ashby. He's a big supporter of the New Deal, thinks that we need to return to more New Deal policies. So I will be debating him today right here on this channel at 3:30. Also coming up on The Rational Egoist, I've got a great interview with Sheldon Richman where we discuss our differences in politics. That should be very fun for everybody to watch. Of course, we have this. And then today at 2:30, I've got Everyday Ethics. And then you and I on the weekend, we got all kinds of stuff. So we got the Self-Made Soul. Everything's great. I'm feeling a little run down, but seeing your face just cheers me right up.
Yeah, I have a funny
and share this right now from X, by the way.
I already did. You're going to get it late. For some reason, you get it late, but I already shared it.
I do?
Yeah, I'm 2 steps ahead of you now, Michael. I only need a spanking one time. Listen, folks, I have to give our don't go there. I have to give our usual disclaimer. This show, Capitalist Corner, is not affiliated with the American Capitalist Party. If you want to see what the American Capitalist Party is all about, please go to AmericanCapitalistParty.org. Donate and be a part of the change. We have a super chat. We've stopped calling them super fucking chats now because, Michael, you had an issue with the name that you developed. You started this whole thing.
I did not start it. No, I didn't.
You said we're going to start calling it super fucking chats.
Okay. The man who just gave us the super chat is the man who came up with the idea, not me. That's the first thing.
All I know is the guy who told me that he wanted to do it was you.
Well, that doesn't mean I started it. That just means that you're not here enough to have all the information.
That's true. When I'm not here, though, it's a good thing because I'm working.
Good thing.
He said, here. Robert Nasir says, Amy and I wish the happiest holidays to everyone. Thank you for the $2 super chat. And thank you for the well wishes, Robert. We wish you as well a very happy holidays. Hey, it's been a kind of a crazy week, Michael, not just for me working 14 and 15 hours a day, which I totally appreciate. I'm not complaining about it. I think it's great. But America Fest 2025 was going on in Arizona. And Ben Shapiro caused quite a ripple amongst the MAGA folks. Thank you, Jenna, for the $5 super chat. Before you drop hints, oops, too late. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
I'm a hint dropper. I want money. I'm a hint dropper. That's not really a hint, though. That's a direct statement.
So Ben Shapiro made quite a stir, Michael, pointing out some of the folks who were actually going to be speaking at America Fest and even by name, demonstrating that, look, you got to be honest. We have to be truth first. That's what we have to do. If you're in a position as a pundit to report on issues, or if you're going to offer platforms for certain people, you got to own it. You got to be honest about where you are. And he really called people like Megyn Kelly and Tucker Carlson to task for their support of people like Nick Fuentes and Candace Owens and the massive misinformation networks that these guys are running. I thought it was a little island of moral clarity, Michael. I didn't watch the entire thing. I just saw most of J.D. Vance's speech and all of Shapiro's speech, and some little cuts from Megyn Kelly and some cuts from Tucker Carlson stuff. And Candace Owens, of course, has gone off the rails completely with Ben Shapiro's comments. What did you think of Ben? You know what I thought when I was listening to his speech, Michael? He needs to be a part of the American Capitalist Party because there is
No, he does not. No, he does not.
Forget his religious stuff. He doesn't.
I don't care about his religious stuff.
Why
That's
don't
not why.
Why don't you
Okay.
want to find a new party?
I'm going to tell you why in a
He doesn't have
second.
to be a part of it in the sense that
Oh my God,
a leadership role. He just has to be a part.
See, and this is why they say I interrupt Mark Persephone. Do you see what happens? He asks me a question. I get
I had
ready
to finish.
No, you didn't finish. You added. Okay, Katie Ellis wants to say hey before her therapy, $1.99 super chat. And Merry Super fucking Christmas. I hope you make it. From No Name, €5. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
This is why I don't want anything to do with Ben Shapiro. Ian Gilmore called it because Mr. Truth First backs Donald Trump. Why would anyone take him seriously? Mr. Truth First has made the claim that it's been proven that George Floyd was not murdered, that he died of an overdose. That's bullshit. I appreciate Ben Shapiro for calling out the Candace Owens, Tucker Carlsons of the world, but that does not mean that Ben Shapiro is, the guy to go to, the guy to trust. He's beefing with them. But let's not forget that he's the one that gave Candace Owens the platform to begin with.
When Candace Owens sounded a little bit more sane, at least from my perspective.
Sure. Before that, she was a big NAACP simp. So yeah, she switches allegiances. She switches opinions based on what's lucrative for her. It seems to me, and I don't know, but there's a long history of this, that they gave her the DEI hire because she was black and they wanted a black woman conservative who was going to speak out against that stuff. And now it's come back to bite them in their derriere. So no, I am not a fan of Ben Shapiro. Now, granted, let me just say that I don't know much about him. I'm not a follower. I don't listen to him. I just know he's a big Trump supporter. I know that he gave Candace Owens her shot. And I know that he claimed George Floyd died of an overdose. And I know Kathy Cassio has said, here's a fucking super chat. Thank you so much.
Well, I listened to Ben Shapiro when he was on a syndicated talk show here in California many years before he became the media mogul that he is and the huge right-wing pundit that he is. And I knew he was going to be a star in the same way that I knew Charlie Kirk was going to be a star at 18 years old when I watched his presence on social media. Now, when I say that he should come to the American Capitalist Party, I'm not saying that we adopt any of his ideology. He's clearly politically homeless at the moment, irrespective of a few of his errors with judging certain current events and events of the last year. He's politically homeless. The MAGA movement is taking over the Republican Party. He is not the MAGA movement, and he does like Rand's concept of free.
Why isn't he the MAGA movement?
I don't think I didn't say he does. I said he doesn't like the MAGA movement, the direction going in now, which is nationalistic conspiracy theories, indulging in conspiracy theories and hate, and platforming Nazis. He sees that as damaging of the overall cause of the Republican Party, which of course it is. And I think he's homeless right now.
Well, I think the Republican Party of the past is done. I think it's taken over now by Christian nationalists, grifters, demagogues, populists. It's a sick combination that's there. And in that sense, maybe, but the guy supports Trump, knowing what Trump's done, knowing what Trump has lied about, knowing the lies he continues to tell. He still supports Trump.
How long do you think that's going to last? I mean,
I don't know.
Do you think this tribalistic urge for some kind of unity, which was the basic response to Ben Shapiro's divisive speech? Yeah,
I don't know, and I don't like the overall direction. And it's more than just these guys. It's the overall direction of the country, the direction of the information systems that people rely upon. It's really ugly. And did you watch the J.D. Vance speech that I sent you?
Yeah, I watched most of it. I couldn't get through all of it, but I watched.
No, good, because I definitely want to discuss that, but it's just not good right now. It really, really isn't. Ian Gilmore wants to know if he says, question for Mark, would Michael's life story make for a good movie, or is transition to intellectual to look good on screen? Or is his transition too intellectual to look good on screen, is what Ian Gilmore wants to know.
Yeah, I think it would be a very interesting story. I don't know that any network would necessarily buy it unless it's the Angel Network, ironically, because they like those kind of uplifting stories. And even though it doesn't have a Christian message or a religious message to it, there's a philosophical message to it that I think is pretty powerful.
See, this I don't like.
Diego. What,
I'm pissed. I'm pissed. I'm pissed now. Now I'm starting to get my dander up.
Don't up your dander.
What the hell does that mean?
Just go ahead.
All right. So look, it's tough to even be accepted by the American Capitalist Party. No, it's really not. Anybody can join. But when you're talking about Ben Shapiro, you're not talking about somebody that would join the party only. Ben Shapiro is an intellectual movement leader, and Ben Shapiro could not be that for the American Capitalist Party. It's that simple. The things that he touts, the things that he pushes, the people that he supports are just not in line with our ideals. It's that simple. I mean, but it doesn't mean if he wanted to join, go ahead and join. I'd be happy with that. But the implication of what Mark was saying was that he needs to join and to be a speaker.
No, that wasn't my implication. My implication was that he's politically homeless and he needs to be a member of the American Capitalist Party, as anybody, Christian, Jew, Muslim, who believes in a certain degree of secularization and free markets, would be a member of the American Capitalist Party.
Oh, well, if that's the case, sure, let him join. Yeah. I wouldn't care who joins. Well, when we're talking about
our principles 100%, Michael, if he were in a leadership capacity here.
Well, here's the thing. When in the middle of talking about a speech that Ben Shapiro gives, denouncing other speakers who were there, the guy who runs the Daily, the Daily Mail? Is that his organization? Daily Wire. He runs that. He's been in a leadership position in the conservative movement. So when you say this guy needs to come to us, I think it's a fair assumption that he's going to be in some type of speaker role, and that I would not brook that. Deeper with Diego says that Ben Shapiro is the author of the book Defending Judaism and Christianity as the creators and defenders of Western civilization. All right.
Yeah. Still, he likes free markets, and that would probably be the exclusive realm with which he would support us, because he certainly wouldn't support our radical free choice agenda across all aspects of human action. He certainly wouldn't be a supporter of that. But as the purest free market, principled free market party out there, he could gravitate to us and find a home, just live his own personal values and not represent the American Capitalist Party with respect to the values that we represent philosophically and ethically. Since we don't believe that America was founded on Judeo-Christian principles, that's not the basis of the American ideals. The basis of American ideals is the Enlightenment, is reason and rational self-interest. So this started a firestorm of backlash from the people that he talked about. Megyn Kelly, of course, did a bunch of ad hominem attacks. I heard Tucker Carlson went off the rails and rambled in his speech up there, though I didn't really see it, except for little snippets here and there. J.D. Vance got up. I guess he might have been was he the final speaker, Michael? J.D. Vance?
Yes.
So he was the home run for everybody. And Michael, I got to tell you, from moment one, I wanted to shoot myself listening to this speech. I know it's an extremely violent reaction, self-harm, only because the things he was saying was so indicative of demagoguery that I thought, if people applaud this line that he just said, we're doomed. And of course they did applaud almost every line that he wanted them to applaud on. One of the most scary lines, in my opinion, of multiple scary lines, was, do you want to see more prosecutions? He actually said, do you want to see more prosecutions? And give us the power. He didn't say this directly, but give us the power to subordinate due process to our whims, and you will get a faster trials, more prosecutions. And people applauded that from the Republican Party, Michael, the party that was supposed to stand for constitutionalism.
Right. Yeah, that was ridiculous. At the beginning when he says you no longer have to apologize for being white, and Jonah Goldberg, on X responded, "You never had to. I've never apologized for being white." I don't know if that coward thought he had to. That's a different thing altogether. But yeah, then the whole thing about, you have to understand this is a Christian country. It's founded on Christian ideals. He says even the idea of religious liberty is rooted in Christianity. He says that anybody can be an American, and then goes on a rampage about the left and Democrats, and they want to trans your kids. And then he talks about when he's referring to the people that killed Charlie Kirk, it was one guy, and he's like, they killed him. Yeah, I don't know if he said specifically they killed him, but he did use they in relation to it. And what the hell was the thing? Then when he was talking about Somalians, it was all just gross to me. I think he's a despicable human being. He's a demagogue to the highest order, who's clearly catering to the worst elements of the Republicans. I don't even know if they're the right. I don't know what the hell they are, but he's talking about doubling down on the tariffs, getting immigrants out, all kinds of stuff. He's just a sickening human being, to be perfectly honest with you.
Yeah, and it was on full display for 30 minutes, folks. You should see as much of that speech as you can. Thank you, Lee, for the £4.99. Merry Christmas, my beautiful angels. I hope you're both okay. I'm telepathically sending you both hugs and love. Thanks, Lee. Totally appreciate that. Could use them right now.
Thank you.
Yeah, Michael, that speech was a study in pathology. I mean, I know the term Hitler has been overused over the past 8 to 12 years. I mean, basically Hitler is used to bludgeon someone you have political differences with, and to stop argument in its tracks. But watching him do that speech, call out the racial groups, call out the left the way he did, to collectivize punishment amongst people, and to do it in the way that he did, it smacked of a Hitlerian rally. To be honest with you, that's what I was thinking.
It's interesting because he's the one, of course, that referred to Trump as America's Hitler.
Yeah.
Let's not forget that. You don't go, Donald Trump, nothing has changed, right? So if you thought either you were lying when you said that, or you're lying now, because nothing has changed about Trump.
Oh, it's gotten worse. It's gotten worse.
So which is it? What it is you have an opportunistic politician in J.D. Vance, who people love because he's telling them what they want to hear. And he says, I'm not going to denounce people. Well, I'm not going to do that. Listen, I have no problem denouncing people like Candace Owens. I don't give a shit. She's a disgusting human being. Right. So I have no problem with that. This guy, I think, is very dangerous. I'm not going to say he's the Hitler. I'm just saying, somebody said to me today, well, what are his ideas? Christian nationalist, populist, mercantilist.
Yes.
None of which.
And worse, he's more organized cognitively than Trump. So that makes him potentially more dangerous.
Yes.
Akira Felix says, too little, too late. Ben Shapiro made Candace Owens a household name, and now he wants to be able to scream anti-Semite and get away with it. I feel you, Akira, but I also think that the spanking was required. I thought it was good that he called them out.
I do too.
Yeah.
I think so too.
It may be for reasons that we might not agree with necessarily or entirely agree with, but I thought this had to happen. These people are very influential in the right wing. They're becoming more influential by the day. And yes, he's partly responsible for that, but maybe this was a little bit of atonement for the responsibility of unleashing Candace Owens on the world, to let everyone know that he's not on that side, and that everyone in the GOP should use truth as the standard of of judging anyone.
Yeah, he's lost, by the way. Ben Shapiro has lost. It's that simple. Within the Republican Party, I mean.
Gone.
The Republican Party is gone. It's not coming back. It really isn't. George Will wrote a good book called The Conservative Sensibility, I think it was called. And he talked about how the conservative ideology is homeless because and this is, I read this book 5 years ago. So yeah, it's gone.
Oh, it's gone. It's gone. Yeah, and I don't think it's retrievable. Once these political boundaries sort of expand the way they've expanded, they don't tend to go back.
No.
They don't seem to check themselves. But I wanted to address this, Matt, because I'm not Matt, Michael, because it's from Matt, because I thought you'd have something to say about this. I have something to say about it as well. Because wars are won with coalitions, not purity tests. This is respecting Ben Shapiro adopting part of our party platform or becoming an American Capitalist Party member. What do you say about that?
What I say about that is, have you ever seen the movie Mobsters?
Are you asking me? Yes.
Yeah. Who else could I ask?
I don't know. I thought you were just throwing it out there rhetorically. Yeah. Why?
So Meyer Lansky and the gang, Lucky Luciano, they're talking to Arnold Rothstein. I don't know how fictionalized this is or not. I don't care. It's a great line. And what Arnold Rothstein says is balls and brains. If you got them, you don't need armies. And what I'll say is, with principles, I would rather stand back to back with a principled person with courage than bring in 50 sycophantic douchebags any day of the week.
Indeed, the person with principles isn't going to turn their back on you when you most need them, Michael. That's a fact. And there's a degree to which I agree with you, Matt. But you can't form coalitions with people whose principles are in direct opposition to yours. So if you're about reason and self-interest, working with somebody who's a Christian altruist, a mystic, it's not going to work. Eventually, their principle of mysticism, following their ideal of self-sacrifice, it's going to consume every aspect of their policy. So you can't form coalitions with those people. You can only form coalitions with people who agree with you in principle, but maybe disagree to a certain degree in execution or form of execution. But you have to have the same principles, right, Michael?
I just get exhausted. I really do get exhausted.
Why is that?
Because of this. Like, I don't no, of course Christians can join the ACP. What they cannot do is make altruism a part of our agenda. They cannot make celebration of the 10 Commandments part of our charter. They just can't do those things. If they're going to join the American Capitalist Party, they have to at least adhere to the core principles of the party. That's the point. It's not that they can't be a Christian. They can't, as a candidate for the American Capitalist Party, they can't go give a speech where they say that Judeo-Christianity is what set the foundation of this country.
As a representative of the American Capitalist Party, they couldn't do that, but they would probably have, I can't even say probably, they'd have wider protections for their religious ideas than any other party gives them. As we know right now, the Republican Party is going for spreading Christianity and creating laws to that effect, so that public schools are forced to abide by certain Christian principles, and the left did the opposite by secularizing schools and keeping prayer out of schools. And we would have a private school system where Christians could worship and pray in school if they wanted to do that, and secularists could not do that if that's what they wanted to do, because we're a radical free choice movement. We understand that you, as a sovereign being, are a choosing being. You need to be free to choose according to your own rational values.
I want to just say that there's a deeper problem here, right? With that question. So no Christians in the ACP. The vice president of the United States and a member of the Republican Party gets on a stage and talks about how this is fundamentally a Christian country. We're founded on Christianity. It's the principles of Christianity that have made us great. He throws in a tagline that says, well, you don't have to be a Christian. You just have to understand that the Christian ethics are what built this country. And there's not a blink from some people. They don't care about that. We say that to join the American Capitalist Party, you have to at least share our ideals of reason, reason, free markets. And you're not going to allow Christians. Christians can go out and tout how I'm going to burn in hell, how the people I love and care about are going to burn in hell. and that's okay. I criticize Christianity and I've crossed some line. Fuck that. Seriously. Fuck that.
My aunt, by the way, sorry to hop on this, but my aunt is a very serious evangelical Christian, one of the worst human beings I know. And Michael, when I was having lunch with her one time, probably the last time I saw her, which was about a decade ago, she was trying to convert me to Christianity. I said, let me get this straight. So if I, let's say, invent a vaccine that saves 2 billion lives and makes the world a better place, I'll burn in hell if I don't accept Jesus as my savior. She nodded. To me, that's a total separation of value from life. And it's a dangerous ideology. Now, you can hold it in your own personal life. I don't care what you do. And the American Capitalist Party protects and defends your right to freedom of conscience, just like it protects and defends my right to freedom of conscience. You can be a member of the American Capitalist Party. You can't speak for the American Capitalist Party officially. You can certainly do it on your own time. And I encourage you to speak for free minds and free markets, because that's what we advocate. But you can't stand for the American Capitalist Party officially.
There's so much just hypocrisy here. You know, Jehovah's Witnesses go door to door. You could not be a politician and denounce Christianity, yet you can be a politician and tout Christianity nonstop. You can get in front and take your picture with the Bible. You could do all that, and that's okay. That's not offensive to anybody that doesn't believe that. But if you speak against Christianity, that's offensive. No, I'm sorry. Fuck that. I'm just fed up with that shit. I really am. It's so annoying that respect for the rational is supposed to be suppressed while respect for faith in the irrational is supposed to be vaunted. No, not by me.
Indeed, and not by me either. I love that formulation, by the way, Michael. Well, this is what's happening, man. We're living in emotionalist times. And the more we throw reason to the side, the more irrational the society is going to become. The more they're going to glom onto conspiracy theories. The more they're going to glom onto these insane people who are coming out of the out of the right, Michael, because they've thrown sense out. Common sense.
What's funny, Mark, too, about this? There's an irony here. Is these people who put Christ as king in their bios, and they run around telling everybody Christ, Christian, we're not going to apologize for being Christian, all that shit. They're some of the most unchristian people that you will ever come across.
Like my aunt.
Yeah.
One of the most
JD, okay. Jesus Christ. If somebody hits you on the right side, turn the cheek and let him hit you on the other. Forgive 70 times 7. He who has not sinned, cast the first stone. J.D. Vance, we love Christianity. Now let's ramp up these prosecutions. And none of them bat an eye. Let's kick people
out of the country. Let's kick people out of the country.
Yeah.
Let's ramp up prosecutions. Let's kill drug dealers on the fucking high seas. It's of course they're not aware of their contradictions, Michael. I mean, I should have sat down and noted every time he said something that was self-detonating or that he contradicted in the very next sentence. And any thinking human being with a brain cannot listen to that 30-minute diatribe without really thinking America is in a serious crisis, a serious moral crisis. And worry for the metaphysical existence of the United States, to be honest with you. I mean, I hate to use hyperbole, Michael. It may be hyperbole, but I really think we are at a crossroads right now. And that's why I was encouraging Ben Shapiro to come over to the light side, which is our side. And not.
Well, I misunderstood. I'm all for it. I'm all for anybody that wants to join the party. That's great. Just don't think that our party is going to become the party that you left or the party that left you.
I think what makes us strong, Michael, is that we are the party of principle. We stand on rational principles, and we don't move. We don't compromise with irrationality. We don't compromise with what we know will hurt the American people in the long run. I mean, that means it's going to be a tough road for us because populism is all the rage now, Michael, and with a 51+% of the American people dependent on government handouts or subsidies in some form or another, it's going to be super hard to tackle this monster and to stand on the principle that you as a sovereign being do not have the right to exploit another sovereign being for your living. Thank you, Therasa.
Teresa. It's just Teresa.
Teresa? Oh, it's
Yeah,
not.
yeah. It's just a wacky spelling.
Okay, I've got to get going, but you have a great day. Thank you, Teresa.
Thank you, Teresa.
Michael, what did you want to get to next? Because it said price controls, but I don't remember a price control article on here. Did I miss it?
You did. It's how Donald Trump is negotiating with pharmaceutical companies to lower prices.
Yeah. Okay.
And what the reason, look, even if it's just negotiations, when the president of the United States is telling you he wants you to lower prices,
it's not a negotiation. Yeah,
no.
It's not a negotiation. Yeah. So let's talk about that. Apparently, he's gotten 14 out of 17. He gave letters, which I suppose sent chills up and down the spines of the pharmaceutical companies. To 17 pharmaceutical companies where he wanted to make deals with them across the board about price controls. Essentially, what that means is he's made deals with apparently 14 of them, which gives most favored nation status to the United States, so that they will pay the lowest prices on the market for drugs than what we pay now, which is
with Medicare and Medicaid, by the way.
With Medicare and Medicaid. So we're subsidizing. Go ahead. What were you going to say?
Well, J.D. Vance was talking about, securing Medicare and Medicaid. That's there for the American people. These are the guys that are for cutting government. Not at all. It's not even like in the way they talk anymore.
Well, I mean, Trump said that right off the bat. We're not going to touch your Social Security. These are the main drivers of the debt, folks. And if you're not going to cut these unconstitutional programs, these rights violating programs, if you're not going to start cutting them, you are not serious about dealing with this debt, which is a real threat down the road. I know modern monetary theorists probably think not, but it is a real threat down the road. Even Keynesian economists are acknowledging that this is a runaway debt and could cause issues. But price controls, Michael, are a problem. They are a problem. What do you think is going to happen here with this renegotiation of prices with the United States?
Well, ultimately, if you force them to charge less of something, you're going to get less of what it is that you want. And in this case, it's pharmaceuticals. And, for the people that support this stuff, there's the part of me that says, good, I hope you get what you want. I hope you do get a price control, but there's nothing to buy. And then you'll be complaining about that. Right. But I just think it's just a terrible philosophy. I think that the both major political parties push this garbage, and it's just going to keep happening because the sainted American people don't know enough or aren't courageous enough or whatever to stand up to it. Hey, did you see Jake Paul get knocked out? Just as a quick,
I heard he got his jaw broken,
but you didn't check it out.
No, I heard it was a bad fight.
No, it was terrible.
I heard he was the other guy was sort of walking him around and helping him around.
Jesus Christ! Here comes the defense again. Of course, the MAGA justification, which there always is. Well, the EU does it, so blah 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 blah. And she says, then it's rigged. Yeah, okay, Trump. Like, I don't know. What do I say to that? I don't know. I don't want to argue with Ann. She's in the audience all the time, but this is just MAGA talking points. Well, right? Look, like, I'm just not interested in it. It doesn't.
You're right in a sense. It is rigged, and it's rigged by people like Trump, who the pharmaceutical companies understand they have to appease in some way and try to work around these massive state interferences in the price mechanism. And to some degree, big pharma, it works for them. It knocks out the competition, so they lobby for this kind of stuff because they know it works for them. Now, Michael, I heard at a conference, I thought this would wind up with shortages in the United States, but this guy who worked in the pharmaceutical company at this conference said, well, the United States is 75% of the pharmaceutical market. So they have tremendous leveraging power when it comes to, setting these price controls. The people who are actually going to experience the decline in access to product is going to be Europe and the third world countries that the pharmaceutical companies give these deals to. Now, what do you think of that? I mean, certainly the chickens are coming home to roost for the EU.
Well, the thing is this: in economics, it's unintended consequences, and you don't ultimately know where the result is going to happen. What I do know is this, right? It's not just a matter of the EU does this and it drives up medical costs. It's the fact that pharmaceutical companies, I mean, how many times do you see a commercial? If you've been affected by clopidogrel or whatever the hell the new medication is, and you now are having erection problems, you can sue. Please call us now. Right? It's the litigious society. So then they have to pay for insurance. It's the fact that you got to go through a decade of drug trials in order to even put something on the market. And by the way, if you invest all your money in this drug and then it gets denied by the FDA, they don't reimburse you. Yeah. And you're being taxed every which way but loose. Right. So, and then you're forced to pay Medicaid and Medicare already. They don't let you charge as much. So of course it's not as if that there's price controls in Europe, but we've had a free market over here and the drug companies are taking advantage of it. We don't have a free market over here. And if we're going to advocate for American values, for capitalist values, we should be saying, look, we're going to allow for freedom in these areas. If you don't want to buy the drugs that haven't gone through the 10-year trials, then don't buy them. But if you're somebody who's sick and wants to try something because then go ahead.
Yeah, it's partly because of, due to the most part, I would say, to regulation, that the prices are so high. It costs a drug company $1 billion to bring a drug to market, Michael. $1 billion. That how much of a slowing effect do you think that has on innovation? How much of it? Yeah, people don't understand. If it costs $1 billion to bring a drug to market, and you have to deal with a fickle FDA who doesn't have it in their interests to really approve a drug quickly, because they go then on the radar as the maintainer of our safety. When people start dying from that drug, then they take the hit from it, and they don't want that. So they're incentivized to be conservative about innovation. And when we need people to innovate as quickly as possible, particularly life-saving drugs, pain medications that could benefit people, and cancer treatments for chronic disease states. Look, Michael, I went on a clinical trial for a technology to make my heart better. That was already approved in Europe and had been in use in Europe for several years before we got it approved here. And I was part of the clinical trial to get it approved in the United States. They had beta blockers in Europe for 10 years prior to they were allowed in the United States. Now, I don't know how many people died in the meantime because they needed those beta blockers to stop a tachycardia incident or that leads to a stroke, but several thousand did. But that isn't on the FDA's record. What's on their record is how many people are impacted since they've legalized the use of beta blockers. So they don't care about you dying previous to them approving or disapproving a drug. They only care about afterwards. We want a free market in medicine, Michael, and that means no government interference in the price mechanism at all.
Nope.
And they've already started this in Norway and other countries. They have private labs cutting approval time in half. Well, we could do that here in the United States of America. So the private companies, private labs could approve drugs in a fraction of the time. Somebody's driving you crazy again.
How is okay, I'm going to address this in a second, but I don't want to lose my train of thought.
Go ahead.
I remember reading Capitalism and Freedom by Milton Friedman. I listening to Rush Limbaugh, engaging in economics, libertarian, world and reading their books. And they used to always talk about how organizations like the FDA are driving up prices. They're hindering competition. They're doing all kinds of bad things. Right. But now when Trump did away with those in his first term, which is actually one of the few things I think he did right for the COVID vaccine, he got rid of all those regulations. You now have people, libertarians and so-called libertarians and conservatives who say, it was a rushed vaccine. Your whole dream was to get rid of those regulations, and now you're saying that the regulations were right. It's like it's like I've gone down the rabbit hole through the looking glass and ended up in Willy Wonka's chocolate.
No, you're in a Kafka novel right now. That's what it feels like to me.
So this is the question from Ann M. Is it more government to tell the companies they can't charge poorer less anymore? Yes. Yes.
Yes.
It's more government for the government to tell companies what they can and can't charge. Of course.
Very uncapitalist, folks. Very uncapitalist. The price mechanism is, Michael, it's the best piece of information an entrepreneur can get to tell him what needs to be supplied to the consumers out there in the world. And when you fuck up the price mechanism, you send bad signals to everybody who's trying to supply that need, and they then cannot supply the need. That's why price controls always lead to rationing, either a surplus of something or you can't have access to that resource at all. Prices should rise relative to demand. That incentivizes more product to come into the market, put its downward pressure on the prices. That's what the market does. It's incentivized to make products accessible to you. The government interference in that place, putting the gun in the marketplace, does the exact opposite. Now, it may give you a short-term benefit, but the long-term detractions, which will be down the road, Michael, it's one of those seen and unseen problems. It's going to be the unseen problem. But in the case of the pharmaceutical companies, it'll be unseen for a short period of time. You're going to start having issues.
I have a serious question for Ann M. Ann, if you or your loved ones are unable to get medications that you need because a shortage develops because of price controls, what will you say then? That's a serious question to you. The problem is you seem to think that the government can fix this problem through regulation. It cannot. And as Mises taught, regulation in Rand 2 begets regulation. So as it continues, it'll get more and more, and you will have less and less of the medications you need. So what will you say then? Will you then still blame Europe or blame anybody else? Or will you say, no, Trump shouldn't have done this? I really want to know that.
Yeah, see, Ann M., look, this is a problem caused by government interference in prices to begin with, and the companies pivoting in an attempt to still recoup their investment, which they have a right to recoup, and they have to do that by charging us prices that are higher than the prices that they're charging the Europeans. Now, the solution to government force in the marketplace is not more government force. The solution is less government force. It's taking away those restraints on the price, allowing the price to reflect actual demand and supply information so that people can get these resources to us. Otherwise, they will not be able to. I don't know how to make it any more clear than that.
Well, the problem for somebody like Ann here is it's woefully obvious. And Ann, I'm not like trying to be insulting that you don't understand economics. Like if you would just read Henry Hazlitt's Economics in One Lesson, you would never ask the question that you just asked. She says, why will they give us less if they have to charge everyone the same prices globally? The reason is because if you just take the United States of America, there's an abundance of obstacles into putting out a product, right? For R&D, right? You have to pay your scientists. You have to pay all kinds of people along the way. And that's if the market was free, they would have to pay for research and development. They'd have to pay for scientists. They'd have to pay for testing, all that stuff. Now you throw into that mix taxes, lawsuits, all types of things that siphon off cash, right? And now in addition to that, you're going to come and tell them that even if you succeed in getting a product to market, you cannot charge as much for it. So there's just not enough money to do what they're doing now. It necessarily leads to shortages. It's not really even all that complex. Aside from the fact, that's just one. Aside from the fact, that's just economics. The bottom line is I do not want the United States government initiating force against people in order to attain the ends that they want.
Exactly.
Okay. So Ann doesn't want to learn. Ann just wants to spout MAGA talking points. So Ann, I'm not going to respond. I'm sorry. Like I just gave you an explanation, and now she comes with, now Europe will pay their fair share for the same meds. The company shouldn't lose money if they. And I'm sorry.
Wait, did she just say pay their fair share? So she actually sounded like a Democrat there, Michael.
Or like Trump, which I repeat myself. And please just go read economics in one lesson. Like I can't. I just can't do it. I'm sorry. I can't.
Definitely check out NM what prices are.
My problem, Mark, honestly, with people like Ann is I lose track of when I don't know, and I don't know, Ann, if this is the case with you because I don't know you, but I lose track of whether they're being honest or not. And I find it very difficult to believe that honest people can buy that shit. That honest people can believe what Trump says. That honest people believe J.D. Vance or believe Tucker Carlson. I have a very hard time, and I'd love to give people the benefit of the doubt. But when I explain in simple terms why you're going to end up with shortages, and she comes back with, oh, but what about Europe? And you're just repeating Trump nonsense.
Yeah, don't fall into the whataboutism, NM. Listen to the argument that Michael's making.
Ian Gilmore says Ann is a Trump sycophant. She's on all the social media as such. I don't know. I don't know who she is or where she is. So I don't know.
We encourage you, NM, to turn your brain on. That means you're going to have to remain a certain distance from Trump for a while to overcome the toxicity, the Trump toxicity that's infected your brain. And you can now become an independent thinking human being again, a sovereign being, which means that all of the rhetoric coming out of the Trump administration will likely drive you insane. You won't be fawning over the Trump administration like you are now, because they are hurting us. You may not see the consequences of that yet, but you will see it within the next couple of years. Deeper with Diego says, imagine spending billions on researching a drug only for the law to change, and then you can't even sell the drug anymore. Michael, I wanted to use this.
Well, Europe does, but what about Europe? So they shouldn't be able to do that. I mean, that shouldn't happen because of Europe. The thing is we could literally, it's like the tariffs. Tariffs are bad for the economy, but the other countries are charging us. So every single time there's an excuse for this administration and the U.S. government in general to increase government authority, government power. This is something even Republicans used to bitch about with the Democrats, right? But now they've just all become Democrats. Yes, but fentanyl's coming in. So yes, let's murder people on the seas because fentanyl's bad and people shouldn't be allowed to make bad choices. Heaven for fucking bid. Well, I think we should start maybe going to war with Burger King because they're selling burgers that are bad for your health and give people heart attacks.
There's a Maha movement out there, Mike, and
they're sickening too. I'm sick of it all. Everything's got me pissed. I was in a good mood, Mark, and now you've gotten my dander up.
Not me. NM got your dander up. But NM, you're looking for the same kind of nanny state that the Democrats are looking for. You're just pretending like it's different. It's not different. Either you're a sovereign human being or you're not. Either you have full moral choice to act in your own interests, whatever you think those are, or you are not. The state shouldn't be taking your moral agency away from you. That is entirely yours. The only thing they should be doing is protecting your property and your right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. But Michael, I wanted to jump off of Deeper with Diego's point into this Reason article, which was entitled, "He Started a Business Legally, Now Trump's Mass Deportations Threaten Him and Other Immigrant Entrepreneurs." I think it's interesting to note, Michael, that immigrants and even illegal immigrants represent a higher proportion of entrepreneurial energy in the United States than native-born Americans do. And yet these are some of the people who are being swept up in the immigration madness right now, and whose businesses are literally walking a thin line between life and death as the Trump administration decides what to do with them. These are people who came into the country illegally, but they were able to start businesses in certain states. They've prospered since then. They employ lots of people. And now some of them are being held in ICE detention facilities, and their businesses and the people they employ are now held in limbo. What do you think about this, Michael? I think this is awful, of course. We've been talking about immigration for a long time. We have a very different policy with respect to immigration than the Republicans do. How can the capitalists sell their proposition to the American people?
Well, a standard thing to do when arguing is to, or a common tactic is to find shared premises. And once you find those shared points of agreement, you show the person where their premises aren't matching their conclusion. And that sometimes works. All my life, I've heard we've got a €2 super chat from No Name who says, chill. So, constitutional originalism. Okay. But you point out to them, as I have, prominent talk show hosts that I've had conversations with, you tout constitutional originalism, but then support immigration restrictions on the federal level, which are not allowed by a constitutional originalism. And they just don't care because it's never really been about the Constitution. It's been about getting what they want. And my only point is, so I don't know, when people really aren't principled, it's a very difficult thing to win them over to principles. Like these talk show hosts have said to me, oh, well, then they should fight it in court. Why? Because the Supreme Court can't err. This coming from the same people have been arguing for 50 years that the Supreme Court erred in Roe v. Wade. Right. So, but then so you're just not dealing with honest brokers. And I don't know what you do. The argument is clear. The moral argument, the constitutional argument, the economic argument, all favor relatively open borders. But when you're dealing with people who just don't want Mexicans in the country, I don't but won't even come out and say that. I mean, J.D. Vance at the thing talked about Minnesota and says, such and such is running for the to be governor of Mogadishu. I mean, Minnesota. Or maybe it was Minneapolis, whatever. It's a shot at Somali immigrants. And, but generally speaking, they don't come out and say we don't want Mexicans. They say we're just against illegal immigration. That's all we're against.
Yeah.
I know Akira Felix, and I was opposed to the Biden the Biden administration in that case. So you're not I'm as fair as I can be. I don't favor state restrictions on immigration, but constitutionally the states could handle it. But although I don't favor the policy, I do favor some federal restrictions on immigration. Unfortunately, the Constitution wasn't written with my views in mind. So the Constitution doesn't allow for it. It doesn't matter what I want.
So, Michael, Trump said that the people who are going to be first on the list for deportation were the worst of the worst. Turns out that
was Codswallop.
Exactly. It turns out that about 29% of the people swept up in this dragnet that's been going on, have no criminal record at all. No criminal record at all. And a percentage of those people have started businesses here in the United States that are prospering. They're actually contributing to the economy, to our well-being, and in addition to not being criminals. 29%, Michael. That is a massive, massive number of human beings that are being caught, I think, illegally in this dragnet, and whose lives are being ruined by the Trump administration. Look, we need immigrants. Immigrants are a disproportionate number of our entrepreneurs out there. They start small businesses, medium businesses, and huge businesses that affect our lives forever and ever and ever. You want more brains, not less, coming in. That's what you want, folks. They are not a drain on the economy. In fact, Michael, I think it said since the deportations have been happening, which Trump claims is going to open up the employment market, they've lost somewhere in the neighborhood of 70,000 jobs. They're not gaining jobs. It's not like the 8 million people who are unemployed are going to rush to these jobs that are being vacated by immigrants. It's not happening. In fact, the opposite is happening. It's having a deleterious effect on the economy because many of these immigrants are entrepreneurs who are starting businesses and employing people, folks, American citizens who are dependent upon these immigrants for their livelihoods.
Yes, deportations definitely have a deleterious effect. While if we were to have more open immigration, the effect would certainly be salubrious. I have to tell you the truth.
Salubrious. That's even better than deleterious.
I don't know. I kind of put them equal.
The fact that they increased H-1B visa fees and pulled people off the line at naturalization events shows that they aren't just against illegal immigration. Yeah, they're against brains entering the country.
I'm going to tell you something interesting here. So there's a little exchange here. So No Name says Native Americans are Indians, and Katie Ellis says they don't like be calling Indians No Name. So I once read an essay by Russell Means. Have you ever heard of him?
Yeah.
Okay. But for the audience that has not, Russell Means was, I believe he was at the Wounded Knee demonstrations. He was big in the American Indian movement, or AIM. He was actually
he was like, wasn't he up there with Brando, or didn't they sort of?
He may have been. He was a libertarian candidate for the presidency. And so I read a great essay by him, and he said, look, he said, why is Native American supposed to be less offensive than Indian? He said, I have no problem with Indian. He said, ultimately, we should be called by our tribes, whatever tribe we were in. That's how we address each other. Whether it's Indian or Native American, they're both terms given to us by Europeans. And so he had no problem with it. I don't know, because I'm not in with an abundance of Native Americans, but I tend to think it's white liberals who are offended by the term Indian and not the actual Native Americans.
Yeah, I think you're right. I know this isn't the conversation, but under a capitalist country where all in his private, I think immigration would just be handled through property enforcement. What do you think of that?
Largely, yes.
Yeah, I think so too. I agree with you. And I think that would be a much more beneficent country than what we have now, which is deporting masses of human beings, some of them to these terrible, terrible, terrible prisons. Michael, you gave me an article about that one prison in CCOT, that one prison in, is it El Salvador or Nicaragua? Where is it? That houses 40,000 inmates and up to 80 to 100 people per cell. This was going to be a piece on 60 Minutes, and it got axed by Barry Weiss. Now there's a confluence of forces here that make this axing of this CCOT segment of 60 Minutes seem a little bit fishy. What did you think about it?
It does seem a bit fishy, especially because Trump's been complaining about not getting fair treatment. Barry Weiss says, no, it's a decision that I've made. We have to make decisions like this. Jonah Goldberg says, give her the benefit of the doubt here. The problem here is, once you have, and it's the same thing with, browbeating, jawboning the pharmaceutical companies. Once you have the president expressing displeasure like this, a president who has shown his willingness to both sue and have his FCC threaten people, right? You now don't know, is this decision made as a business decision, or is it made as a result of the president's jawboning? That's the trouble.
Well, you also have the appearance of a conflict of interest here, Michael, since Kushner is involved with Skydance and Skydance is involved with CBS. And so all of those connections run back to Trump. And so his displeasure has a lot of influence, a lot of sway with somebody like Barry Weiss, who up to this point has seemed to be a pretty principled person. So I'd be inclined to give her the benefit of the doubt while also understanding the context, which is when the president calls you out, it's not just a normal person calling you out. It's a person with the power of the state behind them, the entire state, to execute the laws of the land and then some, as we've seen with Trump. And he's perfectly capable of taking CBS out if he wants to. Unfortunately, that's the circumstance that we find ourselves in, and she may be making a pragmatic decision based on this context,
right?
Or she may not. I mean, there is a terrible conflict of interest going on here, Michael. But Trump is one of the few people I've noticed who doesn't care about the appearance of impropriety or a conflict of interest at all. So he's willing to take gifts from the Qatari government. He's willing to have investments in Bitcoin when it seems like he's inclined to influence the market. because of his investments that way, and he's also perfectly ready to use his clout within a media corporation and his direct familial involvement in these media organizations to push people around. And he doesn't care about a conflict of interest because he knows the MAGA people like Ann M are going to stay with him and excuse whatever he does, no matter how extra constitutional it is. Michael, do you have
A&M is really going to hate you after today. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, she will. She should join the club. So, Michael, do you have?
There's a club.
There is.
You know what? Speaking of clubs, the person who shall not be named, the crazy lady, is now commenting on my Rational Egoist page.
That'd be crazy. Come on, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I told Mark, and it's like, lady, like I wanted to just get help. Help.
She's apparently threatened my life the other day, so she's been reported.
Okay, well that's good.
Yeah, I know.
But she's the one that should be on Depakote and Haldol.
Oh my gosh!
There you go. All right. So what was I going to say? Capitalist thought of the day. We offer here on this program a principled advocacy of capitalism. That means a separation from economics and state. It means that people should be able to do whatever they want as long as they are not initiating force against somebody else. It means that we are for free minds and free markets, regardless of what other countries are doing, regardless of what our political opponents are advocating. We advocate for free markets, free enterprise. And the problem is, if you don't do that, once you start watering it down, you end up like the Republicans, with Democrat Don at the helm, with tariffs, with trying to secure Medicaid and Medicare. That's what you get. We don't want that. We want capitalism. And with that, I give it to Mark for today's question. Please go to YouTube and answer it.
Okay, my question is, do you think that Ben Shapiro will come over to the ACP or start his own party? Because we know he's dead in the Republican Party, folks. So let's see what he does, what his future move is going to be. All right, folks, we'll be here tomorrow, same bat time, same bat place, 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 p.m. Eastern time. You got 23 hours to check your premises. Like A&M, if there's any statism in you, we want you to understand that it doesn't matter which side you come down on. If you're a statist, you're still a statist, you're still a collectivist, and you're still going to do bad things to the American people in order to achieve your social ends. And we don't want to do anything bad to the American people. We want the American people to prosper as individuals. And that means we have a government that protects their rights to life and property, and their conscience as well. So you can be an atheist, you could be a Muslim, you could be a Christian, you could be a Zoroastrian, you could be anything you want to be, provided you don't
can't be a foreigner.
Yeah, you can be a foreigner as well in the American Capitalist Party, folks.
You can't. They can't join.
Oh, that's right. They can't. Well, if they become citizens, or if they become
right,
or if they become permanent residents or something like that, then they can join. I know the voting restrictions with respect to that are different for states and local elections, but you can become a member anyway and support us in spirit, because you are an American in spirit, and hopefully under an American Capitalist Party, you would become a citizen and be able to wield some political power because you hold the values that define Americanism. All right, folks, we'll see you tomorrow. Until that time, please remember to check your premises. And that includes you, especially you. Peace.